You are being lied to. You're being lied to, and you're probably being stolen from. I know, I sound like a shock jock. Hey, welcome to Jobtopia, the learning and development podcast. There is a massive rise in, let's just call it deepfakes. AI is just making this way too easy. And today we're going to dive into a little bit more about what this problem is. I don't think you can stop it. Okay, you just got a lot of bad actors out there, but you got to figure out how to detect it. And first of all, you have to be awake. You have to be aware that you're even being attacked by these fraudsters, by these scammers. If you don't even know that you've got a snake, a viper's den in your house, you're just going to get infested. So you got to know it's there first. So let's bring in our guest today. I've got a couple guys here, so we're going to do one by one. Emmanuel, let me get your banner up here so everyone can kind of see who you are. Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you, Tony. Nice being with you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you could join me. Now let's see. Now we've got Mihal. Well, see, look at this. What an amateur I was. I'm going to pull you out, and we're going to give Mihal a little more. Let's see. Here we go.
Hi there. Glad to be here.
Hi there. Yes, very good. It's very good to meet you. Okay, so
nice to meet you both.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right, let's see if we can pull all of this together. There we are. And let me move my little banners around. I tell you what, whoever thought it was a good idea to have me run all these click boxes while I'm trying to talk, this is not easy. It's probably easier to be a deep fake. All right, gentlemen. So you heard the intro. I do think we've got a big problem. You guys obviously work in the industry. This is not something that we're able to prevent, but it's all about, I guess, detection, right?
Absolutely. Yep. You know, the situation in the tech hiring where both of us really focus a lot has got very, very interesting lately. As you know, right, recently, again, Microsoft announced more layoffs, and the market right now is in a very interesting situation where there are a lot of people looking for the job. At the same time, on the requirement side, right, like people are struggling to find right candidate because the expectations are too high, right? It's not like just after COVID where they wanted any warm body and get them onboarded. That's not the situation.
Yeah, difficult times, and we can see it on all social media. On TikTok, you get to see videos of people who say, "Hey, I went to Yale. I've got a 3.5 GPA, and I cannot find a job." And then you have the next guy who say, "I only have I didn't go to such a prestigious school. How I'm going to get to find a job?" So a lot of people are struggling, unfortunately, right now. A lot of laid off that started out actually 3 years ago, and it's not stopping. So I believe that in 2002, in 2002, there were like 200,000 laid off. A year later, it was still like 100,000 laid off, and it keeps going. Last year it was 50,000, and this year again, we've heard about a massive laid off. Big companies. Microsoft made an announcement last week, but unfortunately, the market is changing, and it's becoming a struggle, on both sides for people to find job, but also for employers to find genuine candidates who have the skills. Because there's a mixed up of also a lot of fraud.
But why do you think there was such a layoff? I mean, was it because of the rise of AI? They just didn't need as many developers or coders. I mean, what caused this massive layoff? And then now, obviously, if they're trying to rehire, now they're being forced to, ramp that workforce back up. What led to this layoff in the first place?
I guess multiple factors there, right? One thing is post-COVID, we saw like crazy amount of hiring, right? So the companies definitely overhired at that point of time. And after some time, there was a certain trend in the larger companies, the FANG companies, that is, like big tech companies, they figured out that they can get away with a much smaller workforce, and that created a peer pressure across, like Amazon, Google, Microsoft. Pretty much everybody started, letting go people. Think about Google. They never ever did layoffs in their entire history. They are sitting on top of a huge amount of cash. They are profitable, but there was a pressure from the board that, hey, can we be more efficient? So that created a domino effect across the, industry. People were, laid off. That started in 2023, 2024. Unfortunately, still spilling up in this year. At the same time, there is a lot of hiring happening, right? And causing, like this really interesting supply demand imbalance. AI, yes, there is certain perception, I would say, especially on manual QA side and automation side, that okay, a lot of those kind of activities can be automated. So, we are not 100% there yet, but still people have these, expectations that we can get away with less amount of people because people will become more efficient. uh, so it's a mixed bag, a lot of different factors working here.
Well, so
There's
what's
there's also
happened then? So Emmanuel, so what has happened then? So you have this overhiring during COVID, and now things
correct.
are kind of right siding. Frankly, typically
Yeah,
when you see layoffs, they tend to go too far. They cut too deep, right?
that's true.
So
Yeah,
I think
true.
that's what's happened, right? So now they're rehiring, but now we've got the rise of AI and this ability for them to basically cheat. Now, I don't exactly know what you mean. So, like, what I don't know. You guys are obviously are in
AI
this.
has also be part of the AI has also be part of the one of the factors for layoff. Like like just as Mehul just mentioned, some companies think that they can do faster, quicker with AI and replacing some of the talents with machines. But also there's been a race, for companies to 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 take on the market, to be like the leaders in AI, and that requires like massive investments. So there was a first wave of layoff where some companies were thinking that they needed cash, to invest into the equipment, and so they kind of shifted some of the focus from OPEX, paying people, to CAPEX, making investments, and and that that has generated some layoff. Now
Right.
it feels like we're in a new phase where the investment have been made and they keep investing, obviously. But mm, Microsoft, for example, last week stated that one of the reasons for the layoff was that because in previous years they made all these massive investments, they have to depreciate, and that hits their income statement. And to compensate, they cut on cost because they have like this new item in on their income statement, depreciations for the investment they've made,
Right.
and
So they
that's
went from OpEx
in
to
their
CapEx, and now the CapEx depreciations are coming through, and
exactly
so they're getting that big expense hit. So that's putting more pressure on. Look, I mean, the argument is you can't
on cost.
cut your way to profitability. Some companies will try to do that, but now we're
Exactly.
dealing with the issue of people are now entering the job market. Now we're talking what specifically? What Mihul? We're talking. These are IT professionals mainly that are these
IT jobs.
scammers, fraudsters.
Absolutely. So people who are hiring, right, the hiring companies still are seeing 15 to 20 interviews conducted for each person they want to hire. Interestingly, on our platform, we are seeing almost 20%. So one in five candidate has been reported to do some kind of fraudulent activity during the interview. So frauds during the interview is on rise because there are a lot of candidates in the market. They are competing with each other. Companies now are more picky because they know that there is a talent available out there. So whatever hiring that they are doing, they want to make sure that they get a superhero. So
Mm,
their bar has been increased a lot, and
Mm.
because of all these things, people are trying to do all sort of cheating, all sort of frauds during the
Like,
interview.
okay, for example, like what's like I could imagine like okay, I've got ChatGPT or I've got Grok in front of me. Maybe I'm asked a question or something, and I'm like trying to get an answer that way. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about something deeper, worse than that?
It's actually, the whole spectrum. It's more like, if I have to give an analogy, it's like a virus and antibodies. Both sides are kind of mutating and developing better and better approaches. So way back, few years back, it was a very basic type of
Mm.
cheating they will do. Like they will use, the lighting would be such that my face will not have enough lights, and somebody else would be answering behind the laptop. So that's like
Yeah.
old fashioned. From there people kept improving and improving, right? Now, yes, they have, chat gpt can be on the side. There are companies to help candidates cheat on
Yes.
the interviews.
Are you
So
seeing
they
that,
will be
Emmanuel?
listening.
Are you actually seeing that companies
We,
are?
we yeah, we do actually see. So there's a unfortunately a surge in fraud, and it comes in different shapes and the level of sophistications. So at the very basic level, you have like single individuals, who try to misrepresent their skill sets or who they
Mhm.
are. Uh, believe that COVID was also um, a big part of it, because as people start working remote, that opens the door, for fraudsters, to deceive. And I really believe that it became a new business from that moment, where some organizations realize that they could make a lot of money, because you can imagine, if you get 3, 5, 10 IT jobs, it just add up, and you can generate a lot of money whether you do the work or not. You get the paychecks,
So
and
you're
and
saying
so
that the same person is taking multiple jobs?
so obviously there's like different types of fraud, but we I really think that now it's a business. There are not just single individuals, but like true organized crime groups behind it, and they're running a business. So with our tool, we actually detect scam centers, with like 20, 30 people uh, in the US or somewhere else, in Asia or in Europe, and they pretend to be developers in the US, and they fabricate their LinkedIn profile, pretending that having worked, for companies here in the US when they're actually overseas. And we can see there are like 20, 30 people in the room, all sharing the same Wi-Fi.
Okay, it might be helpful here. You guys are in the fraud
Mm.
detection, so this might be a good time to tell people like specifically, okay, like what does TurboCheck, what does Flow Career do? What are these platforms? Do you guys connect together? Do you work in some way together to, I guess, detect and to weed these scammers out?
Yeah, we're complementary solutions. So, when you go through the funnel of selecting candidates, first, recruiters would receive resumes. And with TurboCheck, just from the entry point, we can already start detecting fraud just based on someone's name, email, and phone. So that's stage one. Then typically a recruiter would select candidates that they feel are qualified, and they start digging in and maybe getting them to do a video interview.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a second tool that they can use to validate the person's identity, with a photo ID, like a driver license or passport or any document that the candidates can provide to prove identity. And the next stage will be to do more video interviews or technical assessment, and I will let Mehul maybe tell more about it, because that's a flow career area of expertise. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, yeah. As Emmanuel said, right, we are really complementary. So top of the funnel, turbo check comes into picture. During interview, people try to do a lot of frauds. So They try to get help from AI. They try to get help from their friends or maybe other professionals uh, while they are, you know, conducting the interviews. So that's when our platform comes into picture. So we have, trained freelancers to conduct the interviews, and we also have the AI interviewers. In both cases, we do a plethora of technical and non-technical things to figure out whether the candidate is genuinely answering the questions or not. So as simple as recording the full screen and everything of the screen, whether they are changing the tabs, all those basic checks, all the way to various AI-based heuristics about code that candidate is writing, what's the pattern. You know, I don't want to give out a lot of details on how we detect that, because that's some of those are our secret sources.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
using those heuristics, we
Suffice
can
it to
share.
say, you're using technology to just to uncover and kind of witness, kind of monitor the behavior during the interview. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
That's what it sounds like you're saying. Because it
Yep.
wouldn't be normal. Like if you were interviewing me and I had the knowledge, there's really no reason for me to be on my mouse to be doing. I mean, I should just be talking to you.
True. True.
You know, unless you ask me something and I'm like, well, hang on, let me look that up or something. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it should just be right. I'm just conversing with you.
And
Exactly.
even believe reason with hands on the mouse, like now you have like apps that you can get on your phone, and it's a co-pilot for the interview, and they can just simply put their phone, next to the underneath the camera. Won't be able to see it, but the phone can listen to the entire conversations and prompt them with answers.
Oh, yeah.
So AI is becoming, AI, provides the tools to commit fraud. Um, it's becoming trickier.
So,
Yeah.
I it's it's so disappointing that people are spending so much time and money
Mm.
and their creativity to rip people off when why don't you just use it for good? Why don't you just be a
Exactly. Yeah.
don't be a jerk, you know, and hold down a real job. I guess the problem is they just make too much money.
They make too much money. So there was like this post on Hacker News, which is the blog for the Y Combinator in Los Angeles, and that was like a few years ago. But it was just outrageous. The guy was saying, I work 10 jobs at the same time. I'm making 1.5 millions a year. So
So he's got
there's a lot of money.
so he's got 10 $150,000 jobs and he's pulling in 1.5. I guess my question is, how long does it take these companies to figure out? Is it 3 months, 6 months? How long does it take them to figure out that they've got a
He can take
fraudster?
yeah. So
I have
he was bragging about it.
I have seen ads, where people
Hang on, let
say,
me
"Hey,"
zoom in on you. Hang on. Go ahead. Wait,
I
let's
have
see it
seen
again.
I have seen ads where people say, "Hey, we provide all sort of
We have all. Wait,
proxy
put that back
services."
up. Put that back up. Wait. Okay, stop right there. We have all the technology proxies we are providing for interview support. Oh my God! So literally, it's an app that helps you cheat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they are helping
I am
people like
so
that.
naive. It's like I just don't even. I think this was my point at the top. You have to. This is what I hate having these people that are doing this to us because it
It's
makes
disgusting.
us have to be so damn skeptical of everybody.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just can't be naively, out there interviewing people over the internet now, and just you're going to have a bad actor. How many people do you think? What was the number you said? One out of
Our
five
statistics, yeah, 1 in 5, almost 20%, consistently 20% of the interviews that we conduct, we detect some kind of, issues, some kind of cheating, people do.
See, how many it kind of depends on where you are in the funnel. Because up front, you see more. So our tool, for example, would see like 30, 40%.
at the very top
Because we are,
end.
yeah, because no, not at the top end, because we are earlier in the funnel. So there's less selection. As you move down in the funnel, you add some filters, and hopefully, you remove some of them. Hopefully, when you get to the offer stage, the numbers should be lower. uh, but at the entry point, that's where it's the highest. And there are roles where recruiters will tell you fraud it's above 50%. So it kind of depends on the industry, the job, the positions, and where what stage in the process you're looking at. With Virtual, what we typically see is like around 30% of candidates are fake. We're talking about like fake LinkedIn, fake resumes, or malicious because they're trying to work multiple jobs,
Uh-huh.
or because their intention is to get the job and to subcontract to someone else overseas, or because they try to infiltrate organizations to steal data. That's a major concern also
Oh
for them.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you talking about like corporate espionage? Like people are
So there's
like getting
espionage, and
access to.
so there's espionage, but there's also stealing people's data to monetize. They can monetize by
Oh,
asking a
right.
ransom. They can
Like
sell the
phone
data on the dark
numbers,
web.
email, social
Correct.
security, that kind of stuff, like healthcare.
Correct. Correct. And that's extremely expensive. So if when an employer is victim of such a fraud, obviously we're going to talk millions of dollars. 5, 10 millions of dollars for a data breach.
And for many of our services industry customers where we operate a lot, right? So for them, it's a huge reputation issue. So imagine that you are providing a resource to, a bank, and even if there is no extreme cases like data espionage, but you might lose a multi-million-dollar account if your end customer figures out that one of the person that you have sent is not really capable to do any of the job that they claim that they will do. So it's a huge risk for corporates.
Yeah. I mean, so the option, so what employers really have to do is they have to have these fraud detection systems, essentially,
Definitely.
right? I mean, what else can you do? I mean,
Yeah, definitely. The technology and more validations. Also, because the paradigms that you would um, attest, you would evaluate the skills of the candidates to see if they fit the job. It's good to have it, but it's not. Um, it still leaves a door for fraudsters because some of the fraudsters they have the skills. The problem is that once they get the job, they're going to try to get five of them, or they're going to subcontract to someone else, or they're going to try to hack. And
so
to
how do you
detect,
figure that out, Emmanuel? Okay, so I see what you're saying. So on the one hand, you could have a fraudster who doesn't know anything about IT and they get the job. That's eventually,
exactly,
you figure that out. But what you're saying is there's people out there that actually can do the job. They're
they can do it.
just, and they
They're
can
just going
interview
for the
and
money.
take
Yes.
so how do you detect those people who have 5, 6, 7+ jobs?
So with TurboCheck, we provide a platform for fraud detections, and we have four tools to validate a candidate. It starts with like checking their digital identity.
Mm.
To make it very simple, what's a fake LinkedIn profile? It can be a fake LinkedIn profile, could be someone who put on their LinkedIn, jobs they didn't work, skills they don't have. That's true. But it's also someone that only exists on LinkedIn. A fake
Mm.
LinkedIn is someone who only exists on LinkedIn. If you only exist on LinkedIn and we can find you nowhere else, that's a fake LinkedIn.
Oh, right.
So
No,
with
there's
your
no other
tool,
socials, nothing else on them.
so we check, their social, who's not using Amazon, for example. We will be able to see where people are registered. So, everybody's using Amazon. Who's not using Airbnb or Venmo or like all these apps? This is our world is digital. So as you're moving around, downloading apps, signing up for registering for these applications, you leave a trace. And so with our application, with our solution that we create, for which we have a patent, we check people digital identity, and we can identify very quickly people who are basically don't exist in this digital world.
Yes.
People that don't exist they don't exist. They only exist in the digital world. Is that what
No, no,
you're saying?
yeah, no, they don't really have a digital presence. They're only on LinkedIn.
Right.
So if someone is only on LinkedIn, and it's a fake LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And these fraudsters who try to get multiple jobs or to hack, to multiply their chances, they create these multiple personas, and that's what gets them. They're not the true representation of their self. They create this digital ghost that we can detect.
I see this even on Twitter or X. I'll make a comment on someone's post, and then I'll get a bunch of people that reply, and they
All
start liking
bots.
my
Yeah.
post, and then they start following me, and I look at their profiles, and I'm like, man, y'all aren't even real people.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's just like this stuff is like it's just everywhere. It's dominating. At the top, I mentioned video, and there's deep fakes, there's cheap fakes. I don't know. I guess there's been a lot of that in the news. Um, the reason I say that is because, I don't know if we're supposed to get political or not, but I can just say the previous administration, the president, right, appeared to be severely impaired. And every time the other side would come out and say that, look, here's the example. They'd say, no, you've just made a deep fake. No, you just made a cheap fake or something. They just kept, saying that. And so that kind of got in my head, like deep fakes and cheap fakes. So how do we combat that in this world, in the world of IT?
Yeah, the proxies, right? When we say proxies, what do they mean? So, as I mentioned before, right, this is a constant battle of, competing technologies. So at the beginning, the way proxies used to work was simply, I will wear a headphone, right? But that headphone is not really connected to my system. And, I'm using the microphone and the, speaker of the laptop, and the headphone I'm wearing is actually connected to my phone, where, somebody, the proxy is helping me to answer questions, right? Now, in fact, a lot of our customers, because of that, they were burnt by that. So they said, hey, no headphones during the interview. So they have gone up to that level, right? But as you correctly mentioned, now you have deep fakes. So it's even one step, further, right?
I'll go further, honestly, because when you commit fraud, um, at some point you need to provide proof of ID, and unfortunately, it's easy to buy. It's easy to buy fake IDs, and you can buy it, for $80. You have plenty of websites, and they ship it to you, and you get an ID. It looks really real.
Right.
It's very good quality. But then, companies would be, let me verify, social security numbers and the driver license numbers. Does that belong to that person? Same thing. You can buy it online for $25. So you find the data, stolen data. Know that in the US, 62% of driver licenses have been compromised. Right now, we are three on this call. Two of us have been compromised. Our driver licenses have been stolen.
Wait, how many?
Statistic, 62%. Yeah, 62% of driver licenses have been compromised in the US. So that's 150 million. It's
So
massive.
chances are one of us, our
No,
driver's
two
license.
of us. No, two of us.
I was trying to
We're
be
three on this.
positive.
Exactly. Unfortunately not. So you can, so no, but it's very sad. It's a meaning that people get access. Data have been stolen. So when they have been stolen, it means that they're being sold, and people can buy them. So someone can buy your identity, and then create, buy a fake ID, inject them into a physical card, and then they're being shipped to them. And now the thing is that when they go do these um, interviews, maybe they want to impersonate someone. It's easy. The technology is here. And for example, right now, this is not my face. Right now. This is not my face.
Hmm.
What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. This is not me actually. The only problem is that you get used to it, so you forgot to turn it down. But this is not my face. So I'm going to show you the
Wait,
real.
this is not.
No, that's not me. Like this person here. Okay,
Hold
this
on.
is my real face.
That's
Exactly. So you've been talking like for 30 minutes to someone who's actually not. So the technology is here. It can be very confusing, and
that's
Okay,
if
wait,
about
whoa. Do that again.
okay, you want me to do it again? I'll show it to you.
Hang on. Let me zoom in.
You
Wait,
want
do
me
it
to
again.
you, let me go switch it back. Oh, is it
Oh, did the
oh, no, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, sorry.
say something.
What about this one?
Oh my God. What are you doing over there? That is
That
hysterical.
is insane. Yeah, exactly. I got
Exactly.
and this is just for you to know. This is just based on one image I got from you.
Okay,
It's just one image.
hold on. Let me get it. Let me zoom it.
It's that easy, you know. Exactly. So look,
Oh my God. How many of the
you
you
want to
should have
see someone
started with
else?
this. This is incredible.
Let me check if I've got someone else here. Let me check here. Okay. I don't know.
You've got to Oh my God. Mijo, you're moving all around the world.
Exactly. You can duplicate now. If you have like a busy schedule, no problem. Got you covered. You just tell us where you want us to show up.
Okay.
Even if you even
I'm
if you
kind of mind blown right now. Go ahead, Mijo.
I mean, even if you don't steal somebody's driver license, right? So simply, let's say if I don't know technology, let's say I don't know about C++, but there is an opportunity for C++, and Emmanuel knows C++, he can become me and go to the interview. That's the problem, right?
Oh
I'm not
my
stealing,
God.
anybody's driver license or anything. I'm not going to that stage. I'm not going that far. But still, I he can represent as me and show up for the interview and hey.
Yeah, but it happens. It also happens. Like just 2 days ago, we busted a candidate and a more junior person who knows how to code, probably got to school, but he was trying to get a job with like 10 years plus of experience. The only problem is that his driver license has a date of birth, 2004. And he was trying to, and so that didn't work. So they would counterfeit documents to say, hey, I'm born 1990 to justify, higher paychecks. So fraud, unfortunately, comes from everywhere, every
You
angle.
crafty little devil, you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, which is
This
why
is
you
like a
always,
modern day face off. Do you
the
remember
only
that movie?
problem.
That was a great movie with Nicolas
Yeah.
Cage and
Oh,
John
yes.
Travolta.
Yeah. The,
Yeah.
the, the only the only issue that when you get used to it, is they're like, you know what? I prefer the other face.
You're a
Let
handsome
me keep
devil. You don't need to do any of these deep
let
fakes.
me-
All right, so okay, you've totally got me derailed now with this. You've deep faked us or me or both of us. I don't know. So I have to ask, how do you do this? Is this like a? Do
So
you want to?
no,
Can you do a
so
quick screen share? Can you just show
yeah,
for
I
10
can,
seconds?
yeah, definitely, I can show you screen share. So I've got it's a
And I
so you
want
have like
people, if there's a, okay.
so yeah, so the technology is here, and you have like a different software that you can use, where they would basically model your face,
Oh, look
and
at
then
it.
you know it's being replaced by someone else. And this software, it's even quicker. You just select which face do you want. So here it goes. I go back here, and let's go live. And
Oh
now I
my
am.
gosh.
It's just one image. It was just everything is generated from one image.
What you need is
Oh,
a
That's
good.
oh
crazy.
no, no. Okay, yeah. So let me bring it back here. You see. So the only thing that you need to keep mind of which camera you're using.
Yeah, it's like which,
Here he goes.
well, like I'm convinced that we need obviously, you know, fraud detection to keep these scammers out.
Yeah. All you
Um,
need is a good laptop with a good gaming laptop, good GPU, and the software is out there to help you out. So yeah,
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 and the
and so
crazy
that's
part is that the technology only keeps getting better. So the technology is already here, but can you imagine a year from now, 3 years from now, what is going to
right,
be? You know,
right. It's going to be impossible. Well, no, not impossible because we've got Flow Career and we've got Turbo Check.
you need tech
yes,
to combat tech. That's for sure. Yeah.
Oh, this is
yeah,
great. This
absolutely.
is great. Well, thank you for blowing my mind. And now, uh, I
On the
guess
flip
the only
side, Tony, if you wanna go for a meeting where you don't wanna show up, your avatar can just be there and
I
save
would
you
love to do that. I've got a meeting this afternoon. Send them over.
some.
Yeah.
Send them over.
That's,
The problem is I have to do a lot of the meetings, so I probably won't be able to pull that off. Gentlemen, I love it. I love it. I think we're gonna have to have another session, and you guys are gonna. I don't know what we'll do on our next session, but we'll maybe do more demos. Um, maybe we'll hear more horror stories. I think people listen to these stupid. I call them stupid crime podcasts. I don't like them. I know people love them. They love digging into all the problems that people have had. So maybe we ought to do like a crime podcast, a fraud podcast, you
yeah.
know?
The reality is better than the stories at times, right?
I mean, I think it is. It must be. We could do like fraudsters and starring Emmanuel and Mihol. I'm speechless. It doesn't happen very much. And I blame you, Emmanuel.
No, there's so much fraud, but and we appreciate the opportunity to kind of convey that message because it starts by being aware.
Yeah.
If you think that you know and you're in control and you don't realize the level of sophistications and what's coming at you, you're more vulnerable. So
Absolutely.
it really starts from being aware that you always want to be cautious, more validations. There are tools out there, to help you out. And yeah, this is the sad reality of today. There's so much fraud, and people, they can burn your company. They don't care about your
They don't
reputations.
care. They
People,
absolutely don't
absolutely not.
care. They will
It's,
steal
it's
you blind.
it's very disheartening because these recruiters, they speak with candidates, they try to help them get a job, and there's a little bit of trust. Trust is completely broken.
Yeah.
You know.
And
And
remember, you can
then,
use the technology to counter the technology. So yeah, I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
that's
always there.
obviously,
That's why we are here. That's our mission.
well, I'm glad to know both of you. I thank you both for coming down and kind of sharing really the problem that we have and some of the ways we can go about combating it. All right, everybody.
All right.
That's going to
Thanks.
be it for Jobtopia today. We'll see you next time.